Welcome to A Moment of Zen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Jen Simmons takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, cryptocurrency, fintech, cannabis, and entertainment from the millennial mom's perspective. Here's your host, Jen Simmons.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Jen Simmons. Welcome to episode 216. We're celebrating 5 years on the air. Here's to another exciting episode. It's always such a pleasure to spend my time with you on the airwaves. Thank you for tuning in every Saturday night and engaging with me on social media thereafter. It truly makes it all worthwhile. I read all your comments. Please continue to follow me at Jen Simmons. That's Zen with an X, not a Z. XENSAMS. And remember, all of our episodes are available on our YouTube channel at Jen Simmons. We upload every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern via digital streaming. And you can also check us out on your home TV platform directly on our channel at mox.yourhometv.com. In the Hydration with Heart segment, proudly brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, today we welcome the DJ chef that rocks. We're chatting about how DJ chef is blending culinary culture, summer vibes, and social impact all on one stage. In the Polished Beauty segment, with co-contributor Dr. Daisy Ayim, she's a triple board certified cosmetic surgeon and OBGYN. We are welcoming our expert on the microphone, Dr. Jen Simmons. She's the author of the best-selling book, The Smart Woman's Guide to Breast Cancer. She's also host of the podcast, Keeping Abreast with Dr. Jen. She's the founder of PerfeQTion Imaging, which is a radiation-free alternative to traditional breast screening and very, very affordable. She's going to join me today to chat all about how she rewrote the rules of breast cancer and why she says that early detection isn't enough. In the Going Deep segment brought to you by CO2 Lift and our expert on the microphone series, today we're joined by the incredible Dr. Mary Ojo-Cairns, a cosmetic gynecological surgeon, sexual medicine physician, healthcare expert, researcher, and author. She's the founder of Climax Aesthetic Surgery. She's going to join me today to chat all about sexual health and wellness and how she's empowering her patients through transformative treatments. In the Sispera Health Tip of the Week, today we're chatting about preventative and protective skincare with summer right around the corner. Stay tuned for DJ Chef coming up next, kicking off Memorial Day weekend in the Once Upon a Coconut Hydration with Heart segment. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Westbridge Academy in Essex County, where students are seen, heard, and understood. Neurodiverse K-12 students, many facing ADHD, anxiety, depression, or aggression, discover strength through connection. With compassionate educators, therapeutic support, and the latest technology, students can master academics and go further, exploring music production, financial and automotive literacy, social media awareness, and wellness. Visit westbridgeacademy.org to learn more.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. This is the Hydration with Heart segment, proudly brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, the ultra-refreshing coconut water that fuels creativity, movement, and memory-making moments. Now, imagine if Guy Fieri and Tiesto had a culinary baby. Well, that's basically our next guest. He's part chef, part DJ, and all energy. He's been crowned a cutthroat kitchen champion, grilled for celebrities, spun records at A-list events, and created a sensory experience that fuses food and music in a way no one else has. But that's not all. He's now stepping into your kitchen with a brand new knife and cookware collection, launching his own culinary empire with rock star style. And with Memorial Day just around the corner, he's taking over Docker's Waterside in the Hamptons for the ultimate summer kickoff, featured in Hampton Storyboard magazine, no less. Big strides here for DJ. From party decks to prep tables, he's also giving back, headlining the John Starks Foundation's charity casino night this June at Muttontown Country Club. It's glitz, good eats, and giving back. Today we're chatting with DJ Chef on how he's blending culinary culture, summer vibes, and social impact all on one stage. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Hey, Zen, thanks for having me back.
So excited. Most people pick one lane, culinary arts or music, but you've built a career blending both in a way that makes your events just Unforgettable. So where did this fusion of food and beats begin for you? And how did you develop it into a full-fledged brand?
I would love to say it was a mastermind, epiphany, but, it's just two of my passions that I kind of just went with. Early on, I started out DJing, local house parties and the local spots. I got a job with a caterer who urged me to go to culinary school, so I had a little skill in cooking. So I just up and went, New York restaurant school. I worked in Manhattan, and the restaurant business burned me out. So I got a job as a corporate chef, which left me the weekends free. And the executive asked me to do a dinner party on the weekend. It just kept snowballing, but I just thought that they could be leveled up a little bit. I said, what's missing is the music. So I just thought the DJ while I was cooking up the dinner party, and I created this cooking party. And now I kind of changed the format for large events where I DJ the event, cook up a little tasting, and that has brought me to, venues all around the world.
That's such a wild origin story. And it totally makes sense how your personality drove this hybrid career. I mean, you really found the sweet spot between flavor and rhythm, and it suits you perfectly. Now let's talk gear. So for chefs, knives and cookware are like a DJ's mixer. Every detail matters. Tell us about your brand new knife and cookware line. What makes it unique, and how does it reflect your identity as both a performer and a chef?
Well, funny that, events brought me to this. I did a charity event with Guy Fieri at the Chicago International Houseware Show, which was driven by Ergo Chef, who was creating his knives at the time. So I had a little relationship with them. They gave me the knives, and this is like 10, 12 years ago. They always supported me. And, past couple of months, we were just talking about doing like a collab line of my favorite knives here. These Ergo Chef's Crimson, which we branded, the Hamptons by DJ Chef, and we came up with two sets, a knife set and a cookware set. The knife set, you get that Santugo knife, you get the bread knife, you get the little paring knife. That's in the knife set, and then with the cook set, you get these pans, which are good. This is the ceramic pan. This is my favorite pan. And what's great about this, they made this ultra luxury. It's kind of like where professional quality meets Hamptons luxury and design. So check out these handles.
Beautiful. Wow.
Stack them. You get two stainless steel pans. They stack up nice, storage and cleaning. That's always the hassle when you're trying to clean the pans. And, here you could pop the handles off, clean them easy, storage them easy. And it's just a high quality, professional grade set that I was recommending even before I collab with them. So it's
very proud of you. Very proud. I love that. Form, function, and flair. And the fact that it's made for pros and home cooks makes it feel super accessible, right?
Exactly, because that's like the number one request I get. What do I use? What do I like? And now we've done it. You've got the style and the professional quality.
Beautiful. Now Memorial Day is right around the corner. It's a few days away. It's basically the Hamptons Super Bowl.
That's it.
and it, right? And if you're front and center at Dockers with an epic kickoff event, it makes it even more special. So what can guests expect at this summer launch party? And what's the story behind your signature loaded Long Island lobster rolls that were featured in Hampton's Storyboard magazine? My mouth is watering.
Like you said, it's the Super Bowl of, the summer, the Hamptons kickoff. And I just love Dockers. I've been going there for years. I know the owner, Larry, and I don't know, I just wanted to do something to celebrate, like the start of the season. So we came up with this kickoff party, on the Monday. Obviously, I'm kind of crazy all weekend. So I thought the Monday was perfect, kind of like boozy brunch vibe. And it's right on the water, right on Dune Road. And I mean, when you think Hamptons, you think lobster rolls. So, I just can't, I use the claw and the knuckle meat, which is like super sweet. I have a nice dressing that I create for, little spice, little flavorings in the background, serve it up on that toasty potato bread roll. And we're going to serve up the beets, the bites, and you got the sunsets as an extra bonus.
I love it. Beets, bites, and beach vibes. I'm already I'm craving that roll. And you're bringing the heat to the Hamptons in a major way, my dear. I'm convinced I'm probably going to be there. So let's chat
marketing.
Your passion. So you're mixing passion with purpose, and you're partnering with, once again, the John Starks Foundation. Why is this charity event so close to your heart? How do you balance high energy performance with meaningful philanthropy?
He's created this 3-Point Foundation, which actually grants college scholarships to students in need, but still have like a high GPA. And, they have to meet a couple other criteria, to get the grant. But he's been doing this since like 94. I mean, it's just incredible. So to be able to bring some fun and energy to the event, have a good night. There's a little bit of the raffles, I help out with great incredible like prizes. I mean, you could gamble with the casino part, but as far as the prizes, you're getting like this memorabilia and stuff. I play like this walk-up music, like upbeat, beats and stuff when they win. And it's just fun. It's just such a fun night at the Mutton Town Country Club on Long Island. And, it's really something that, you should experience to have a good time, but you're also helping this wonderful cause.
And this is, again, right around the corner. It's next month in June. That's what I call the perfect combo, entertainment with impact. And you're making a real difference while keeping the party alive. Now, so many creatives struggle with standing out in an oversaturated market, but you've carved a niche that's undeniably yours. What's your advice to aspiring chefs or DJs or just creators trying to build something that's truly original?
You know what? There's really no silver bullet for it. For me, I just follow my passions. It felt right to me. You got to listen to that, listen to your gut, listen to that little voice in your heart, that says, this is right. And that's really it, So it may be a little out of the box. So you're going to get like a bunch of no's and this is silly and laughed at, but you're going to know if it feels right to you, So I'm not saying, juggle while you're cooking or something crazy, just if it makes sense, you know what I mean? To me, my passion was in music, but I just, it wasn't 100% me, I got into cooking. My great grandfather had like a food store. I saw the love that he had in cooking, and that kind of drove me to cooking. But the restaurants and the catering wasn't really for me, I like to have fun. So to just bring the music into the food made a lot of sense to me. And, I had to figure it out. I made a lot of mistakes too. Don't get, discouraged by your mistakes. Like those are the best lessons, actually. You're like, when you make a mistake, hopefully it's not a tragic mistake, but, a little misstep or something, there's really lessons in that. So you don't know that until you're in it, obviously. But if I can give you a little, foresight on that, that's what I would say. Don't get discouraged. Just stick to your guns and just do it. Just make it happen.
Yeah, you're the definition of high energy hustle with heart. Whether you're dropping beats or dicing onions, you do it with soul and style. And that's what I personally love about you.
Thank you, Zen. It's always a pleasure talking to you. You're so articulate and you know how to communicate, everyone's story. And I appreciate that as well.
Oh, you're the best. For anyone looking to elevate their kitchen game or catch the next DJ Chef live experience, follow him on the gram at DJ Chef Rocks, or you could visit him at djchef.com. And don't forget, hydration is the secret ingredient. Stay refreshed with Once Upon a Coconut. Until next time, stay sharp, stay groovy, and keep cooking up joy. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut.
Discover the refreshing taste of 100% pure coconut water that actually tastes great. Naturally sweet with no artificial flavors or added sugar. It's packed with electrolytes to keep you hydrated throughout your day. And with 10% of profits going to charity, every sip makes a difference. Pure taste, pure goodness. Experience nature's Gatorade. Visit Once Upon a Coconut or naturesgatorade.com.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
The Kelly Williams Show is brought to you by Serendipity Yacht Cruises and Events. Tune in and turn on your happy. Kelly Williams is full of energy and incredible guests. Watch her anytime, free programming on your home TV network, and do follow her on social media for a chance to win monthly prizes. Check out The Kelly Williams Show on yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Jen Simmons. Thank you for tuning in to the Polished Beauty segment, where we explore beauty, brains, empowerment, and total wellness from the inside out. I'm your host today, and I'm always joined by our brilliant co-contributor and founder of the Polished Beauty podcast, Dr. Daisy Ayim. She's a triple board certified cosmetic surgeon and OBGYN who champions beauty, health, and purpose for modern women. Today, we're honored to welcome a woman who's not just treating breast cancer, she's transforming how we think about it. Dr. Jen Simmons was once one of Philadelphia's top breast cancer surgeons, but after facing health challenges of her own, she shifted paths, becoming a pioneer, integrative oncologist who blends conventional medicine with holistic healing. She's the author of the best-selling book, The Smart Woman's Guide to Breast Cancer, host of the podcast Keeping Abreast with Dr. Jen, and the founder of PerfeQTion Imaging, a radiation-free alternative to traditional breast screening. We all need that. Her mission: to support and educate the often forgotten woman and redefine survivorship through real healing, hormone balance, and prevention first. Today, she joins me to chat all about how she rewrote the rules of breast cancer and why she says that early detection isn't enough. Dr. Jen, welcome to the show, superstar.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so delighted to be here and to share this time with two people who I know are like-minded and have the same goals that I have to change the world.
So let's get right to it. Dr. Jen, what inspired your decision to walk away from surgery and embrace integrative oncology? And how did your personal health journey reshape your approach to treating breast cancer?
Well, there's nothing like getting your own diagnosis and facing those conventional paradigms to give you a whole new perspective. Because when I went from physician to patient and I was given the answers, which I gave to my patients all the time, when I asked, why did this happen? I got that vague, it's multifactorial, and there's nothing else you can do, and there's nothing you could have done to prevent it, and there's nothing that you can do to reverse it. You just have to have surgery and chemo and radiation. And while that answer was sufficient when I was giving it, it was not sufficient when I was getting it. And I actually went on my own personal health journey, not to cure my breast cancer patients, to cure me. Because I somehow got this voice, this download from the universe. I mean, I think it was God, but if you don't believe in God, call it whatever you want. But I got this download saying, there's something else, go find it.
I'm glad you share your personal journey that led to your amazing technology that you have. Traditional mammogram is something that we recommend to our patients. You have to start at 40 and go at it, and that's it. There's no alternative out there, but you have an amazing technology called PerfeQTion Imaging work. Can you elaborate on that, how it works, and how is it different from traditional mammography?
Yeah. Well, first I want to say that our reliance on mammogram has not increased survival, has not decreased the amount of treatment. So we're not saving lives and we're not saving breasts. And I think that that's a really important point to note up front. So, and it has nothing to do with prevention. It's all about early detection. And it's not even a good early detection tool. It will miss 40% of cancers in 40% of the population, which is the dense breasted population. And those arguably are the women that need it most. So in my opinion, and I share this opinion with many, many countries around the world, mammogram is an epic fail. I mean, we're using a test that causes cancer to screen for cancer. So I was so lucky to get introduced to the QT technology. It is ultrasound technology, but in a way that doesn't compare to what's being done now. So we use sound waves transmitted through a warm water bath to collect 200,000 times more data points than MRI, and it creates a true 3D reconstruction of the breast without pain, without compression, without radiation. It was invented for and designed for women with dense breasts, women who have implants, all the women who are unserved or underserved by the current screening program.
This is mind-blowing. Why is early detection not enough?
The mammogram isn't early detection because by the time a mammogram picks something up, it's billions of cells. So what I use to screen for breast cancer is actually early detection because I'm using a test called the ARIA tears test. I don't know if you've heard of this test, but this test takes a sample of the fluid in your eye. You don't have to cry or poke your eye out or anything. It's a totally painless collection system. But it measures that fluid for two proteins, the S100A8 and S100A9 proteins. These proteins are actually, when they reach a critical level, they are actually predictive of the very early stages of developing breast cancer. So if you use this test to screen, the ARIA test, you can actually pick up breast cancer before it becomes a disease, before it even develops. And you can prevent a breast cancer diagnosis. So this is actually prevention because we are getting real-time information as to whether or not you are at risk for breast cancer. So if you take the ARIA test, which is a 5-minute at-home test, literally 5-minute at-home test, totally affordable, you can know if that test is negative, you're done. You don't even have to go for imaging. And if that test is clinically positive, you are at risk for breast cancer and you can do something about it. You can prevent breast cancer from even developing by reading my book, The Smart Woman's Guide to Breast Cancer, by joining my prevention program at Real Health MD. But you have the power to prevent a diagnosis. And this technology is here and it's available right now.
How do we order the ARIA test?
Yeah, it's just ARIA, AURIA.care. And if you use my code DrJenn20, DrJenn20, you get 20% off, making it a totally affordable test.
I want to know 2 questions. How often is this test need to be done for the audience listening? And is there any variation in testing?
Yeah, so there's no variation, but how often you do it depends on what you believe your inherent risks are. So if you are at increased risk, and increased risk means that you have family members that have had breast cancer, or you have one of the gene mutations that puts you at increased risk for breast cancer, I recommend those people do it every 6 months. Otherwise, if you're at average risk, just do it once a year. And know that if you have a clinically significant result and you do the things to get rid of the inflammation in your body, you can convert that to a normal result. This is how we actually prevent breast cancer going forward.
When should they start with the screening?
The company recommends you start screening at 30, although there's no reason why you couldn't do it earlier, but that is the recommendation of the company because breast cancer below 30 is still exceedingly rare.
Thank you so much. This is great information.
Pleasure.
But let's go back. Many breast cancer survivors are just left in the dark when it comes to hormone health, especially those told that hormone therapy is completely off the table. But research into bioidentical hormone replacement therapy is shifting that narrative, and it's something you speak passionately about. Why do you advocate for BHRT in breast cancer survivors, and what are the most common misconceptions women need to unlearn?
We have to remember that association isn't causation, and that there is no evidence that hormones cause breast cancer. In fact, breast cancer is much more a disease of hormone deficiency than it is of hormone excess. So we need to unlearn all of that really reductionist thinking that is only out there. That narrative is only out there to sell drugs. That's the only reason it's out there. And so when we talk about the breast cancer population and the people that are in survivorship, of which there are 4 million in this country alone, okay? And these women are told that they should be grateful to be alive, and they are grateful. But it is very hard to feel grateful when you can't think, you can't remember your words, you can't remember why you walked in the room, you're anxious, you're afraid, you're depressed, your hair is falling out, you can't sleep at night, you have palpitations, your whole body aches, you've gained weight, your body is unrecognizable, your breasts are deformed or absent, you have no libido, sex is unwanted and painful, you're leaking urine, you've either lost your relationship or your relationship is being horribly challenged. It is hard to feel grateful.
Oh my, yes, put it into perspective like that. Sounds like a field day. That message, what you just said, is so important, especially for women who feel like they've lost a part of themselves post-treatment. I mean, hormones do, in fact, play a much bigger role in recovery than so many of us realize. So thank you for saying that.
That's exactly right. And this is how we are leaving most women after breast cancer treatment. So you know that the women listening to this who have had breast cancer are like, oh my God, she finally gets me.
Yeah.
But no one's talking about it. And the reasons no one's talking about it is because the pharmaceutical companies have created this narrative where they want to sell these drugs. But these drugs cause all of this. And they do it unnecessarily because when we look at the data, women who take hormone replacement and get breast cancer have better outcomes as compared to women who don't take hormone replacement and get breast cancer. And then when you look on the after side, women who have had breast cancer and take hormones do not die of breast cancer more than women who don't, do not have more recurrences than women who don't, and they have better lives. They have better, longer, richer, happier lives. Now,
Thank you for demystifying those stigmas, by the way.
Yeah, we have to. I mean, the WHI study did so much harm in our society. The media took it and ran with it. Trying to unpack it is taking so much, and our education system, starting from residency, the different specialty, does a disservice to women in education and knowledge. So I am so happy social media is in place when we have experts like you that bring all of this in the forefront so we can debunk all those myths. Doc, I want to know, what's the message behind your book, The Smart Woman's Guide to Breast Cancer? It's phenomenal, by the way.
thank you. Thank you. You know, right now we talk about women making informed decisions, right? Only they're not even able to make informed decisions because they're not giving the information in order to make an informed decision. And I knew that I just wanted that to stop. I wanted women to have the opportunity to actually participate in their decision making, to participate in their health, because we know that health doesn't happen in a doctor's office or a radiation suite or an oncology suite or a surgical suite. Health happens at home with the things that you do every single day, and you have so much more power than you've been led to believe. And I just wanted women to step into their power. And so I wrote this book to give them that ability. Yes, you can learn about all the doctors speak. You can learn how to interpret your pathology report. You can learn about all of the treatments that you're going to be told that you need and the side effects and what they do and what they don't do, because they're being touted as much more than they are, and they're not warned of the long-term side effects of taking these drugs. For instance, if you are treated for breast cancer, you are 2 to 3 times more likely to die of heart disease than if you're not. Now, women are already exponentially more likely to die of heart disease than they are of breast cancer in every decade of their life past the age of 30. So how can we cure one disease and give them one that's worse without telling them, without informing them, without giving them the opportunity? And one of the major problems, and one of the reasons why my book is so important, is that we are overdiagnosing breast cancer. We are over-treating breast cancer for a large portion of the population, and we are actually accelerating the diseases that kill women. We're accelerating heart disease, we're accelerating brain disease, we're accelerating bone disease. So I think that we need to have a whole new perspective on how we diagnose, how we treat, how we reverse, and how we screen for breast cancer. And those are my platforms, and they're all outlined in my book. So my book is definitely about education. It's about disease reversal. It's about prevention. It's about building your health, because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is building your health. Because when you build your health, disease goes away.
I think my
And to touch on something that you said earlier, that forgotten populace, the women that are in the shadows, there's major statistics on this. According to the Journal of Women's Health, nearly 1 in 2 women report feeling dismissed or not being taken seriously by their healthcare providers. Exactly what you just said. And the disconnect can be especially harmful when dealing with a breast cancer diagnosis. So after writing the book and after having been an advocate for your own health, what can women do to become stronger advocates for their own care, especially when they feel unheard in medical settings?
Yeah, I think that we really need to focus on being heard, on building a team that is a partnership. I think gone are the days of that paternalistic medicine where the doctor says and you do, because we have farmed our health out to people that don't have our health in their best interest. I'll give you an example. I am not trying to throw the medical oncology world under the bus. But please know that a good medical oncologist is someone that does their job. Their job is to give chemotherapy. Their job is to get you through chemotherapy without dying, right? So they are not thinking about where you're going to be in 5 years. If you get through that time with them, that's all they're concerned about. So here we are entrusting our health to a medical oncologist when the medical oncologist is looking back at you and saying, it doesn't matter what you eat, it doesn't matter what you drink, it doesn't matter how you move, right? Whatever you do, don't gain weight, don't lose weight. And they are giving not only bad advice, the absolute wrong advice, but they're actually increasing the likelihood that you're going to need more drugs later, need more support later, and have worse outcomes. And they're good doctors, well-intentioned doctors doing this. So we need to stop farming out our health to people who don't know. So if you go and talk to your medical oncologist, and all of this is outlined in my book, all of the questions that you're supposed to ask and the answers that you're supposed to get are there. If you go to your medical oncologist and say, what should I eat during chemo? And if they don't look back at you and say, you shouldn't be eating, you should be fasting, you need to go find another medical oncologist. And this is where our agency is. You need to be working with someone who is your partner. Those paternalistic relationships, they don't work anymore. You have to find someone who hears you. I know it's not easy, but the world is changing. It might not be changing quickly enough, but maybe go in with a copy of my book and ask your medical oncologist to read it. Tell them to take a day and just read my book. It will change the way that they look at what they do. And if they don't, move on. One of the biggest messages from my book is that we are all rushed to treatment. We're told you have to schedule surgery, you have to schedule chemotherapy, you have to get on the radiation schedule. We're rushed. And we're rushed because they don't want you to take the time. They don't want you to stop and think and say, is this really the right thing for me? Does this really make sense? They don't want you to take the time and be educated because they're afraid that you'll change your mind and they'll lose a customer, right? But the very best thing you can do for yourself is take time, take a pause, get educated, learn, and take the time to be introspective. Start to trust your intuition, and you will know what's right for you. You will get that same download that I got if you take some time and just look inside and ask the questions.
You know, Doc, it's one of the things that's very saddening. I'm sure you've experienced this in your practice. was diagnosing women with breast cancer in their 20s. I mean, the first time I diagnosed a patient in her late 20s, I sat back in my chair and I said, how is this possible? What is going on in our society, in our environment, in our food? And breast care or cancer care is just becoming earlier and earlier. So I want to know, what do you think about the role of emotional and energetic healing as it plays in cancer care?
I'm going to share a story with you because that piece, which is not part of our conventional paradigm at all, is so very important. I had a woman who was 39 years old, had a big job, totally stressful job, and she gets diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, comes to see me. We do all the things. We correct her metabolic health. Everything is turning around and she's looking great and the disease is reversing. And we couldn't quite get her past the finish line. And one day she told me about this story where her family actually owned a ski resort. And one day at the resort, she was sexually assaulted by 4 boys. And she told her mother about it. And because the boys were friends of the family, her mother didn't believe her. And she suffered her whole life with this trauma and carried it around with her. And it wasn't until she released that trauma to me on that day that things actually started to turn around for her. And I truly believe that that was the reason why she got metastatic breast cancer. We have to look at the whole person in front of us. Breast cancer is not happening because you have a bad breast. People don't have naughty breasts. Breast cancer is happening because there is an imbalance in the system. Breast cancer is a normal response to an abnormal environment, and we all have to become environmentalists. We all have to figure out what is influencing our environment. What is causing that internal shift in our chemistry, taking us from the chemistry of joy to the chemistry of stress. And we all need to know how to shift that back. Now, for some people, it's mold illness. And for some people, it's viruses. But for some people, it's a trauma that they've been suffering from for 20 years because no one has taken the time to unpack it. Now, there's fascinating work going on at places like Johns Hopkins, where they're using psilocybin, magic mushrooms. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I went on a 7-hour journey. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
They are using these guided journeys to help people to relive the trauma in a controlled environment with a facilitator and give it a different ending, give it a different meaning so that the trauma from 20 years ago doesn't continue to hurt you today.
Yeah, I mean, holistic care is really the future of medicine. It's unfortunate that allopathic medicine is so focused on this tunnel, like you mentioned earlier. And we're doing a disservice to ourselves as humankind in the care of patient because medicine is food. Food is medicine. And we have to look at what we're feeding our body, whether it's medicine or food or environment. It's multifactorial.
Yeah, and our emotional diet, right?
Yes.
So, Joshua Rosenthal, who runs the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, which is a big health coaching program, he talks about this concept of primary food and secondary food. And everyone thinks the things that you put in your mouth are primary food, and that's what fuels you. But the truth is that what is far more meaningful is what is actually primary food is hugs and love and sunshine and all of the things that really fill your cup. Because like you can eat what you can eat. And please know, I don't advocate for eating junk food, but I also don't advocate for consuming a junk life. Like, we have the ability to connect with one another and to live truly connected, meaningful lives. And when you do that, you are rewarded with health.
Yeah, absolutely. Community is the base of any society.
Yeah.
And when the community is broken down, that's when you see a lot of element that is manifesting in our society, especially the Western world. Community is so important.
It is. And, that's part and parcel what's wrong with the conventional medical model is that community is built on failure. The only way to get into conventional medicine is to fail. You either have to fail your blood work or fail your imaging test or something along those lines. And think about it. Like, we don't have an early intervention system. No one's going to their doctor and saying, Doc, I want to be as healthy as I can be. How do I do that? And even if they did, their doctor wouldn't have the answer because we're not trained to do that. I had 15 hours worth of training around nutrition my first year of medical school and then never again. And I have 15 years of higher education.
Yeah. And you're giving hours and you're giving 15 minutes. And don't forget, you're giving 15 minutes to see a patient if you're an employed physician and you don't have your own private practice. Yes. So not only do you not have the education, you don't have the time to even educate the patient if you were to have the education. Yes, the system is broken.
It's so true.
Broken.
The system is so broken. So,
the system is broken. Oh my goodness.
They just wait for you to fail. They just wait for you to fail. When you come in and your hemoglobin A1C, which is a measurement of your glucose, your blood sugar over a 3-month period of time, right? If it's 5.8 or 5.9, what do they tell you? Come back. Yeah. When it's over 6, we'll treat you for diabetes, right? It's just a horrible, horrible, broken system.
It is.
All right. Well, we are at the end, but I know Dr. Daisy has her last bonus question.
Yes. Okay. So, Dr. Jen, I admire your accomplishment, and I think what you're doing is phenomenal. It's groundbreaking, especially in the mammogram world. So I want to know, what is the one bold thing in your life? It could be a journey, it could be a story, it could be a moment that has led you to be where you are today.
So I actually remember the very moment that I resigned from surgery because I had already done my functional medicine training, but I thought that I could bring functional medicine into surgery. And I had a 19-year-old come into my office. She had a breast mass, but she also had MS. And she had primary progressive MS so bad that she was in a wheelchair because she couldn't walk the 30 feet from the elevator to my office. And I had just met Dr. Terry Walls. I don't know if you know Terry Walls, but she's a very famous Midwest physician who reversed her own MS through diet. So I had just met Terry Walls, and I was so excited, like a giddy school child, telling this 19-year-old and her mother in my office about how she can reverse her MS and, she can walk again and live a normal life. And after about a minute, she put her hand up in my face and she said, Doc, are you going to do my biopsy or not? And I was like, oh, yeah. Not everyone wants to help themselves. Not everyone wants to do the work. Some people just want to take the pill. Some people just want the procedure. And I get it. And that's okay. But that's not who I want to work with or for. And I resigned that day because I just knew that there were millions of women who wanted to take control of their health, who wanted to participate in their health, who wanted to avoid a diagnosis or reverse a diagnosis, who wanted to feel empowered and inspired. And I knew that I had to walk into that role and be their source of power and be their source of inspiration.
Wow. Well, we're out of time. Dr. Jen, thank you for sharing your wisdom, your truth, and your heart with us today. I mean, you're living proof that medicine is evolving and that real healing is in fact possible. Thank you.
Sure is. Thank you so much for having me.
For our listeners, be sure to follow Dr. Jen on Instagram at Dr. Jen Simmons. Tune into her podcast, Keeping Abreast with Dr. Jen, and learn more about her work at realhealthmd.com. And you can check out PerfeQTion for the latest technologies on breast imaging. This is the Polished Beauty segment. I'm your host, Jen Simmons, with our incredible co-contributor, Dr. Daisy Ayim, where beauty meets substance and self-care is the science. Until next time, stay curious, stay strong, and stay polished. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this. A Moment of Zen is brought to you by the Polished Beauty Podcast with Dr. Daisy Ayim. Hey, ambitious women, ready to shine on the inside and out? Tune in to the Polished Beauty Podcast, where we talk about business, beauty, brains, and body all in one spot. Meet Dr. Daisy Ayim, triple board certified cosmetic surgeon, pro-aging advocate, fitness enthusiast, and your go-to for real talk on leveling up every part of your life. The Polished Beauty Podcast is your dose of ambition meets empowerment. For more information, head to polishedbeautypodcast.com. Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Jen Simmons. In our health tip of the week, brought to you by Sispera, today we're chatting about preventative and protective skincare with summer right around the corner. Preparing for summer doesn't start in June. It starts right now. Dermatologists advise beginning protective measures in the spring to minimize pigmentation and long-term sun damage brought on by the intense summer sun. As the days grow longer and UV exposure increases, your skin is already vulnerable, even if the temperatures are still mild. One of the most effective early season strategies is incorporating a mineral-based sunscreen with zinc oxide into your daily routine. Consistency is always key. Build a habit of reapplying SPF every 2 hours, especially after sweating or swimming. And if you can, avoid midday sun exposure when the UV rays are at their strongest. And remember, don't wait until the summer is already here. Now is the time to start building preventative and protective skincare habits into your routine. That was our health tip of the week, brought to you by Sispera. Be sure to check them out online at Sispera.com and on the gram at Sispera. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Sispera. If skin discoloration is making it hard to find your Zen, Sispera can help. Stubborn pigmentation, dark spots, and uneven skin tone concerns go beyond the surface, affecting both confidence and self-expression. In a sea of skincare choices, Sispera stands apart. Backed by science and trusted by dermatologists worldwide, Sispera is powered by the advanced cysteamine isobonic amide complex, delivering clinically proven results and effectively targeting mild to persistent discoloration while restoring the skin's natural glow. Unlike harsh treatments, Sispera is formulated for all skin types, including sensitive areas, ensuring visible improvements without irritation. Whether pigmentation is a new concern or a long-standing struggle, Sispera works in harmony with the skin to bring balance, clarity, and renewed confidence. Sispera is science-driven skincare for confidence that shines. Find your skin zen and restore your glow with Sispera today by heading to Sispera.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Jen Simmons. In the Going Deep segment, brought to you by CO2 Lift, in our Expert on the Microphone series, today we're joined by the incredible Dr. Mary Ojo-Karens. She's a cosmetic gynecological surgeon, sexual medicine physician, healthcare expert, researcher, and author. Yes, she's all of that. With almost 2 decades of experience, she's the founder of Climax Aesthetic Surgery and provides revolutionary care for her patients, educating both women and men about their bodies in a way that is easily retained and comprehended. She's going to join us right now to chat all about sexual health and wellness and how she's empowering her patients through transformative treatments. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So excited to have you on. Let's dive right in. You are an expert and trusted consultant when it comes to sexual medicine and hormone therapy, and moving on even to now what's trending, menopausal medicine.
Mm-hmm.
All areas that are often overlooked and under-discussed. I'd love to know what inspired you to focus on sexual medicine and cosmetic gynecological surgery. Why do you think there's such an important need for this right now, and why is this area so important?
Well, I mean, for me, it's actually a very simple answer why I decided to focus on it. I really just did not want to have bad sex ever. And, I don't know a woman who wants to purposely have bad sex. Now, I think there are a lot of women that do have bad sex. There is not a man that you're going to find that purposely has bad sex, but I did not want that to be my story. And I don't think sex is just a fad. I think that there is a lot that goes into sex and sexual pleasure. And there are a lot of well-founded resources out there. There are a lot of well-founded options. And I wanted to be able to be a resource to patients. I think that it's really important to focus on sex because sex is not just about pleasure. It's actually about overall well-being. And so when you carve sex out and you make it only about pleasure, you actually diminish the significance of sex and what sex can mean for an individual and also a couple.
Ooh, it's getting hot in here. I love this conversation. And you're known for being an excellent communicator, so thank you for that. And you're highly rated by your patients for being able to educate both men and women about their bodies in a way that is easily retained and comprehended. I alluded to this in the introduction. Well, what's your philosophy on patient education? And why do you think it's so important to encourage these open discussions about sexual health?
Well, when you start to have open discussions, you actually start to demystify. There is a misconception that we all should know how to have sex. We all should know how to receive pleasure. We should all know how to give pleasure. And then when you actually get into the bedroom, many people find that's not the case. And so complexities start to arise in relationships because they're not actually walking through what they need to walk through in an open way, an honest way, honesty with self, and then honesty with one another. So when you encourage people and you're encouraged yourself to actually have an open, complete, honest conversation, you demystify something that actually can be very simple because it is natural. We have that natural urge, that natural desire to receive and give pleasure.
Now let's talk about the specific treatments you offer for both men and women at your practice. And I love that you offer treatments for both men and women because usually we find doctors and they specialize only in treating one of the two sexes. But at Climax Aesthetic Surgery, I know you're dedicated to creating a friendly and a professional atmosphere that patients can actually feel confident to turn to for comprehensive sexual health care. And like you said, there's so many stigmas surrounding sexual wellness. And so with the latest cutting technologies and treatments, based on your experience, can you just walk us through a few of the most popular and transformative treatments you offer? What specific needs they address?
Yeah, so we do hormone therapy, like you said, for both men and women. We wanted to be able to offer something complete, right? And so hormone therapy, we do a lot of PRP therapy, platelet-rich plasma, basically growth factors that we get from you, the individual, as a source. You're sourcing yourself back with those growth factors. And we do acoustic sound wave, acoustic shockwave therapy with our soft wave device. So these three therapies, what are they doing? They are improving libido. They are improving the tissue, making it feel better, making there be more sensitivity, and they're increasing blood flow to the area. There's so many options out there, To your point, it's knowing what's available. And that's when you really have to have that conversation with someone who is walking down that path that, specializes in sexual medicine. So these three therapies, they work individually for individual purposes. Again, it's brain, it's body, but they also work very well together.
Now let's bring CO2 Lift into the picture. This is the perfect time to do it. It's a company which has harnessed the power of carbon dioxide to address both skin health and rejuvenation from your head to your toes, including the skin down there. And their product, CO2 Lift V, I can attest to this, addresses issues from vaginal dryness and laxity to urinary problems to sexual discomfort, and just the list goes on. And they're clinically verified, right? And their CO2 Lift Pro product, while often used for the face or body, has been used effectively on the penis for both enhancements and rejuvenation. So this is what you speak. I know you're familiar with all of this. How have you firsthand seen the CO2 Lift products effectively address sexual health issues for in the both male and female category, whether used as a standalone treatment or in combination with other procedures you offer?
So CO2 Lift, CO2 V Lift, it's a game changer, because it's really all about blood flow. And so I use the product as a standalone, also in combination with all of the therapies I just named. And so, putting it on the penis, putting it on the vagina, putting it inside the vagina just makes that tissue much, much better. It gets that blood moving. if you're not going to use it, you're going to lose it. And that's an old adage, but something that we say in sexual medicine all the time. If you're somebody who is not moving around, you're not exercising, you're probably not having good sex. So if you don't get blood into the genitalia, into the vagina, into the penis, you're going to have challenges, and you're going to have, you're not going to receive the outcome that you want. You're not going to have the orgasms that you want. It's not going to be as sensitive as you want it to be. So using the product with these procedures, but just as a standalone, I mean, it is a complete game changer. I've done surgeries where after the surgery, part of my post care is to put the product on the labia after I do a labiaplasty, or inside the vagina after I do a vaginoplasty. Women that get this product, they're healing weeks faster. Like day one after, I usually see my patients on post-op day one just to make sure that they're doing well. Day one, you just see all of the healthy granulation tissue, the healthy healing tissue start to come in. You see that the area is still nice and pink and vascularized. That's what you want. That's what you want to see. That's how you know the product is working. So firsthand as a provider, firsthand as a patient, it changes the game completely.
That's a great endorsement, and you are saying things that I've heard over and over again from other experts. And I love that it's non-invasive and that it's clinically researched, and more importantly, clinically verified. That's so important in the scheme of things, with so many products available and just not sure which one actually does the job it's supposed to do the way it says it's going to do it, right? Now, before we wrap up here, it's important to acknowledge that the hesitation many people feel around discussing sexual and intimate health has allowed many myths and stigmas to thrive. You alluded to this earlier. What are some of the most common misconceptions you encounter about both women and men's sexual health, and how do you go about dispelling them in your practice?
Do we have time for them all? Because there's a whole bunch. There's a whole bunch. I mean, I think one thing is that people don't realize that sex actually, the orgasm itself actually takes place in the brain. Like our genitalia, we need all that to work, right? But if our brain health and our overall well-being is not where it needs to be, we're not going to be able to receive pleasure to the climax that we could. I think there's also a misconception that everybody else is having great sex, and just maybe it's just me. Maybe this is just a problem isolated to me, which is totally not the case. As we get older, it is going to become more challenging. You watch these movies and people are screaming all over the place, hair is being thrown. That's not what real sex looks like. As we get older, I might not be able to be on that countertop anymore because it's just not comfortable. So I'm going to need something to help me help myself. I'm going to need some type of sex aid. Some people call it sex toys. Some people call it pleasure tools. You have like these nice angled pillows that just make it so that you can actually arch your back a little bit more. These aids should be added. They should be used. Products like CO2 Lift, a nice lube, just like start at the basics, the basics. A nice vibrator. That's not just for women, something that you insert, but something you put on your clitoris. That's where your button is, right? These things should be part of the routine of sex. And so everyone out there is not having better sex, and everyone out there is not necessarily not using these tools. It should just be normalized. I think that's one of the other misconceptions.
I love how you just tied all of that together, and we could continue talking for another 30 minutes, but we're officially out of time. But I learned so much from you today, and it's your openness and just your delivery that is very, very different than other practitioners. So I thank you so much for coming on. This was truly, truly inspirational because I love chatting with trailblazing women.
Oh, thank you, Zen. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's wonderful being here.
That was our Going Deep segment brought to you by CO2 Lift. That was the incredible Dr. Mary Ojo Karens, cosmetic gynecological surgeon, sexual medicine physician, healthcare expert, researcher, and author. Definitely check out her practice, Climax Aesthetic Surgery, at helloclimax.com, and follow her on the gram at helloclimax and at Dr. Mary Ojo Karens. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CO2 Lift. As we age, our skin loses moisture and elasticity, causing wrinkled skin. You can reverse this aging process with CO2 Lift. CO2 Lift utilizes the powerful benefits of carbon dioxide to lift, tighten, and regenerate your skin. This simple, painless at-home carboxytherapy treatment is scientifically proven to reverse the aging process. You will see reduction in wrinkles, increase in luminosity, and improve pigmentation, sagging, skin tone, and radiance.
For more information or to order CO2 Lift, ask your skincare professional or go to co2lift.com.
Well, that's a wrap, my dear friends. Remember to join me right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. Or you could head to 710WOR.iHeart.com/A Moment of Zen. Also, remember that we're live on Traverse TV Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern. You could download the free Traverse TV app. We upload to YouTube Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern via digital streaming, and all episodes of A Moment of Zen are available on Your Home TV and Kathy Ireland worldwide streaming platform. You could head directly to our channel at mox.yourhometv.com. Thank you for listening to us. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host tonight. Thanks again to all of our sponsors that continue to make the show possible. And remember that happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it. We'll be back next week.